This is the last of the playlists that I'm putting together in building your investment narrative. Now, I may add to this later, but we've covered the different types of economic philosophies. We've covered the types of people in it. We've covered whether you're contrarian or what I call mainstream types of uh, economics, um, looking at people who are contrarians, people who don't see things the same way that I believe gives you an advantage. So in this one, I want to talk about psychology, and it plays a huge part in investing, and especially changing people's minds because I believe what we're going to be headed into in the economic atmosphere we are in the midst of right now. We're seeing a huge decline in the market at this point. But I believe moving forward that the mindset that investors had about the economy always going up at some point is going to be mitigated for a while, for maybe longer than I am going to live, where we may have already either reached the top of what the market's going to be, or we will soon, and then things will collapse. Um, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in other videos. But the psychology, first of all, you're going to have different types. What I categorize people in: there's investors, there's day traders, there's swing traders, there's option traders, there's futures traders, there's you know currency trading that goes on. So there's a whole series of different things. I think most people will probably fall into the investor category. They put their money in and leave it. And I don't believe that moving forward that's going to be a great idea. And my whole aim is to help people see different avenues for their investments. They need to make their own decisions. I've said that you need to be your own fiduciary. But I fall into all of these categories. I'm an investor. Some things I just kind of leave in. Um, I, I've done day trading. That's not my focus, but I do day trading on occasion if the opportunity arises. Swing trading is basically being in a stock or investment of some type for a shorter period of time, maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe as long as 4 weeks. Options trading to me provides a lot of different avenues that I didn't even know were available that I learned about, you know, decade ago. But um, you know, there are things that at least be aware of them and know what they can do. They are certainly a loaded gun and can really hurt you from an investing standpoint, but they can also help you because they give you avenues you can't, most people won't see. So, and this bleeds into, when we're talking about psychology, the first thing I'm going to talk to you about, and I don't think it'd be emphasized enough, is risk management. To be successful in any type of trading, forget investing, we'll put that to the side for now, but I do believe that plays a role. You have to have some type of a risk management around your investments. In other words, a stop loss type of thing. But it's also primarily it's your mindset. There are people that just can't handle risk, and they tilt when things go sideways just a little bit. And it's your mindset around what risk that you're willing to take. My risk degree is rather high, so I have to develop, still developing disciplines around certain things. If I hit a stop loss, I let it. I put it in, and the it just automatically happens. That way, I don't have to think about it. Otherwise, I second guess myself and do those types of things. It's kind of knowing yourself and what you do and how you play risk as an individual. And one thing for sure, trading will do is it will test what your a risk tolerance is, if you ever decide to get into it. Now, everybody's an investor, so there is always risk. But some people have the mindset that all I have to do is just put it in and it'll eventually go up. And I just, it's my warning, I guess, to people is I don't believe that that's going to be the way things are moving forward for at least maybe 2 or 3 decades, maybe less. But everybody always, well, it goes down, but it's always going to come back. But what if it doesn't come back for a decade? Let's start there. The other thing, as far as risk management, is there's and this mindset is manias that have happened over different time periods in history. Now, the one you hear about the most is the Tulip Mania in Holland. I'm not going to get into that here, but in essence, they drove the price of tulip bulbs up to what would it be the equivalent today of $750,000. And you say, well, that's just crazy. How could that happen? Well, it happens. And it not only happens, but it happens over and over again. And it's associated with the fear of missing out. You see the stock go, oh, well, I'll buy that. And then it goes up. You go, oh, man, that's great. And then you sell it again. You go, you know what? It's still going up. I'm going to buy it. Or maybe even sitting on the sideline, all of a sudden jump in at the wrong time. And this happens all the time on smaller scales, but larger scales too in history. And we're not smarter. We still have some of the emotions and behaviors, and get into maybe Dan Kamen's thinking fast and slow, your immediate reaction versus once you have a chance to think about something, would be completely different. And this has to do with the discipline. The other thing is that I've studied quite a bit more for executives and how they think is neuroeconomics, which is how we go about making decisions. And I'll put a link below, but I interviewed Dr. Paul Zak for my Effective Executive podcast long time ago, probably a couple years ago now. And he's in this neuroeconomic field, and they're making advancements on how our brain works, and this fits into some of Dan Kamen's stuff. But I will, as I go through, I'll make updates to on videos in neuroeconomics, and maybe even put a playlist for all this psychology / neuroeconomic stuff. Matter of fact, I'm sure that's probably what I'll do. And then the last thing I'd say is you may be sitting there just thinking, well, I'm not sure whether I'm really a risky person or I'm not. But I found a couple quizzes online that don't require an email or anything like that. So I'm going to put the links to those below. One is for an investor, and it kind of actually at the end gives you some suggestions on the types of things you might be interested in investing in. I don't promote it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just an individual investor that sees things happening that are much different than they have been for the last 3 decades. So there's that quiz. I think it's just something that's helpful for you. And then the last thing is, the second quiz is a Traitor Quiz, which is how do you think around trading? And again, it doesn't require an email, but it just kind of gives you a sense, ask some interesting questions about kind of your own personal risk tolerance. So that was it. I wanted to finish off this, building your investment and narrative, just kind of finish this up. You should now have a sense of what you believe in from an economic standpoint. Are you a Keynesian? Are you a supply side economic person? Are you, more of a Austrian school? Those are things that we explored during there. And then I give you some folks that speak on this today that are on YouTube quite a bit, or even on financial channels. And then you should have a sense of, what a contrarian is versus kind of the mainstream. I mean, you're going to find mainstream on TV every day. The contrarian is just something that is actually built into me, which is I'm looking for people who see things differently that might be an advantage for me. And they don't always pan out, but a lot of times people who see things differently, which I do, will, give you an insight that could be helpful to you. And then this one, as far as psychology, when I first started putting my notes together, that it was going to be an hour long, and I just think for this um, playlist, I just want to kind of hit upon some of the subjects that I'll be talking about as we move forward in time. So that's what I want to cover in this episode. This should end the playlist. I'll probably add to it later. I know, but right now I'm really have those 4 videos or episodes that are out there under this playlist. So plus a kind of a beginner or introduction type. So there'd be 5, I guess, episodes. But that concludes this for now, and so we'll start into uh, talking about some of the things that I think will be helpful in increasing your knowledge and becoming a better investor or trader or combination or whatever you want to be. Um, I think that it will be informative for you. There's always a better way.